This is Patrick Lee, host of Midweek Motivation and team leader of the Patrick Lee Group Real Estate team in Amarillo, Texas. I've got a special treat for you today. I'm going to be bringing a new friend of mine online here in just a moment, Brenda Chen, who is an investment lender out of California. And now she's a jet setter. She flies all around the country, helping people with investment loans and the financing that goes behind it, investment properties. Brenda, how are you today?
Hey Patrick, thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Where are you at today?
Today I'm in New York City.
Awesome. You're home based out of San Francisco?
Yes.
Where do you travel mostly?
Well, I was in Hawaii for a couple months and checked out Miami, and now I'm in New York. But yeah, I love traveling, love meeting new people, and so wanted to check out New York for a bit.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, introduce yourself a little bit and give us sort of a rundown of your company, how long you and the company have been in business.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm the head of sales at Conventus LLC. So we're, like you said, we're an investment lender. We finance single-family, multifamily properties, mixed-use, commercial, some land, and we're in 25 plus states, including Texas. And since I joined, I funded over $500 million and over 500 deals as well. And the company itself has funded over $2.7 billion since 2015.
Wow, that's incredible. So when did you say you started doing this?
I started this in July 2017, so almost 4 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. I got into the residential side of real estate about 8 years ago and decided at 50 years old it was time to get into the career that I always wanted to be in growing up and didn't have the nerve to do. So it took me a long time to find out what I wanted to do in life, and that's been a lot of fun for me and very rewarding. But a lot of the things, some of the things that you do are some of the things that we don't talk about as much in residential lending, and that is investment lending. So I'm an investor. I have a lot of friends in the real estate investors sphere out here in Amarillo and other towns, and I'm sure that your services are something that they would be very interested in talking about. So I know that a lot of things in real estate with us on the residential side are very important. Communication with your agent and your lenders, title companies. How important is communication between you and, let's say you have realtor agent partners, people that work with you? How important is communication to you with all of these people throughout the process?
It's super important. It's everything. So we love working with realtors. A lot of them are referral partners. A lot of them are also investors. And so they're definitely a key relationship throughout the process. And we have the common goal in mind of getting the transaction closed as soon as possible. And for us, we work with realtors a lot because sometimes either the conventional loan falls through, but they have a deadline, or they're just trying to get the deal. And so we're able to help them craft really competitive offers. We're able to talk to the other realtor, the listing agent, on why the borrower, is a good fit if they are, et cetera, and how fast we can close. So kind of give that listing agent the peace of mind. And so yeah, we definitely love working with realtors and see them as a key partner in the process.
That's a great answer. With most of the lenders we work with, our clients, as you know, many times will come to us already pre-approved with a lender, and they say, "This is my mom's lender. This was my dad's lender. This is the family lender, and they told me to go with this person." Sometimes that particular lender does not communicate very well. Maybe they're old school. They're not really into email or text messaging. And in today's day and age, I'm texting everybody all day long. Short messages on the phone, but then texting a lot. And many people aren't very well at communicating. So if someone wants more info and wants to talk to you about a loan, can everything be done online or through a phone call and email? or do they need to like come fly to where you are in New York and visit with you?
That's a good question. Actually, everything can be done online. So that's how we're able to do loans in so many states. So, a lot of it is through email, but I think, video calls or phone calls have more of a personal touch. And so, before we did events and things like that, but it's definitely not required to get a deal done. And so a lot of it is just through email. And we have a pretty streamlined process. Just a list of questions, and there's not as much back and forth because we try to keep that list comprehensive so we're not asking for more information down the line.
Right. I love that. Ariana sent me a lot of the information, so I would have that available. And when we're done with this video, I'm going to post links to your website and a lot of other information in the comments below the video, so people will have access to that as well. If someone's interested in becoming a new investor, because everyone, now that the economy is weird, and I'm not sure where you're at, if this is the same with you. So, but it is here in Texas for certain. The economy is pretty good. People have a little bit of money. Their credit scores are decent. So we are seeing a lot of people decide that they want to jump into the investment space. Maybe it's their first rent house that they want to buy, or they want to flip a couple of houses, and they've got a couple of friends that are contractors and they want to get into this. Is this the kind of person that you're looking for, or are you only looking for like the high flyer, the high dollar person that wants to buy apartment complexes and office space?
That's a great question. So we work with both types. So we can work with people that have, done zero projects, as long as they have a business plan, they, have reserves, and, they're getting the project at, a reasonable price, whatever they're comfortable with. We just usually want the as-is value to come back at or above their purchase price. And then because it is an investment loan, we do want to see what their business plan is, and we'll work with them on that. That said, we also work with very experienced clients, and so for newer clients, we do give them some more attention in terms of seeing what their business plan is and if it makes sense, because we don't want them to get into a project that they can't complete. So we work with them to see if it's a good fit. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love that. If someone's interested in becoming an investor, what sort of questions should that person expect to answer during their first consultation with you at CV Lending?
Yeah, I love that question. So usually we want to see if they have a market that they're interested in, like if they've identified a market, and if so, if they've identified a property, what the purchase price is, what kind of property is it, how much they're willing to put down as a down payment, how much they want to spend fixing it up. If they do want to fix it up, what their plan is, whether they want to refinance or sell afterwards, if they're adding any square footage, what kind of scope of work it is, if permits needed, etc. So just a general overview of what they're doing in the project, like what it is currently, what they're doing to the property, like what value add they're doing, and then what it's going to become after they're done. So we do have two loan types. One is a short-term bridge loan that is more for value add properties. And so for those, we just want to see what kind of improvements they're making, or, if it's just a short bridge loan, what their plan is to exit. And then for the long-term rental loans, we look more into the rents and the expenses, and the DSCR, which is the debt service coverage ratio, we want it to be at least above 0.8 usually, as of the recording today, but usually 1 to 1.15, and that just means that we do want the rent to at least cover the expenses, if not more. Yeah.
Sounds like this video is on fire right now, because fire trucks are on their way to your hotel or your apartment.
Yeah.
This is good information. There are going to be a lot of people that save this video to refer back to it as well, so they know what kind of questions are going to be asked. So we have a lot of people in my market here in the Panhandle of Texas that are investors as well, a large group of investors. And these are the kind of questions that people need to know. What are some ballpark credit scores this investor should probably have to qualify for some of your products?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So, of course, the higher the better. And we know sometimes things happen. And so there are some things that you can do to raise them, but we would say at least, above 600, 620. But if it's somehow below that, because we're a hard money lender, which means that we lend on the hard asset, there are some things that we can do if the loan to value is low enough. But for the most part, above 700 is a good ballpark to hit. And then, um, having a letter of explanation for anything that's on your report. We know that sometimes, there,
Maybe negative, right?
yeah, things
Absolutely.
that aren't a big deal on paper but seem like a big deal on the report. So
They,
just want to see, what the story
mhm.
is there. Hmm.
Absolutely, they sure can. And this may be revelation knowledge to some people that are thinking about becoming an investor. And they think that, these scores are very much right in line with someone that wants to buy a house, a first time home buyer. The
Hmm.
scores to be an investor aren't necessarily 100 points higher than a residential client.
Hmm.
If you want to be an investor, um, like you said earlier, one of the first things I would recommend that you have is, besides a halfway decent credit score, is a business plan.
Hmm.
Because if this investor comes to you and says, hey, I may not have a lot of credit, but I've got some money in the bank and I have a plan, and they
Hmm.
can show you that on paper and you can run the numbers and determine, hey, this makes sense. I think we can lend on that. That's usually where a lot of the decision making takes place, right? If they have a real good business plan that fits the kind of product that they're inquiring about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't just look at the credit score. Some things that you could do are, showing the reserves that you have, showing your portfolio, what you've done. Pictures tell, a really great story sometimes. And
Right.
if you have a website, if you have reviews, anything that, for example, Patrick, you have a lot of like reviews and things like that online, that you have a good brand. So doing things like that does make a difference. It shows that you're well connected and that, mentioning future referring partners, like you could refer other people that you're connected with, things like that. Those things really make a difference to the lender. And then of course, like getting, just showing people how you came up with this project in particular out of all the projects that you could do, and then getting
Absolutely.
them aligned with your vision.
I love that. That makes so much sense. Once someone comes to you and they've applied for a loan product, the long term, short term, the bridge loan,
Hmm.
whatever it may be, what's basically the next step? Once they're approved for that, what's the next step they need to do? If when they come to you, do you prefer they already have a project in mind, or do they get approved first and then go find the project?
That's a great question. I think it's always good to start as soon as you have an inkling that it might be something you want to do, just to get that relationship going. And then as a lender, we can kind of ask you some questions that get you thinking about your project. So at the at the minimum, eventually we'll need the property address, what you're doing, et cetera,
Right.
like we mentioned. But if it's just for pre-approval, just knowing, what market you're interested in. We typically don't lend in rural areas. We might make some exceptions, but talking about that, which areas you want to invest in, um, and yeah, just seeing where the down payment is coming from. If you have enough reserves to complete the project, and after pre-approval, you would submit that with the offer to get the
Right.
property under contract, and then after the property is under contract, that's when we actually get the loan process started.
Terrific. Once you've acquired the loan, gotten the product or the project, what are some major do's and don'ts that the investor should, take into consideration?
Yeah, so that's a really awesome question. I think mostly um, just seeing that you're not too over optimistic on the values. Like I think sometimes the values come back low and things like that. So being prepared for those types of things and having an explanation for how you chose a certain property, and then also doing your own diligence. So sometimes for new investors, they might trust someone to run all the numbers, but I would recommend doing them yourself as well. Even just as a double check. And also, like you said earlier, communication. Sometimes loans can be as fast as, people are willing to communicate. And so following up, making sure that all parties are on track, just, checking in with them, with escrow, with your lender, with your realtor, with the seller. People really appreciate that, especially in real estate.
Absolutely. I love that answer. And we tell people a lot as well. The things that you just said to do, and then also the things to avoid, like going out and opening up a new credit account at your local lumber store because you're going to be buying appliances and lumber and repair materials right away, and you get a huge line of credit, and then all of a sudden you don't get your loan because you just opened up a bunch of credit accounts that are not going to be good for you. So we always tell them, let's get you approved for the loan, and then don't open up any new accounts without consulting with your realtor and your lender, please. That's awesome. Once the property is found, put under contract, how long does your closing process usually take at CV Lending?
Yeah, so it depends on the loan amount. So for a loan amount under $2 million, and if it's a single family, typically within 2 weeks. If it's a repeat client, we can rush for, around 7 days, calendar days. And we funded loans for repeat clients as fast as 3 business days. Not every loan is going to be like that, but we can definitely do things to rush if we have a lot of your items on file. For a larger loan amount and for property types like multifamily, it probably takes 2 to 3 weeks.
That's pretty fast. That's actually really good. So once the investor has developed a relationship with you and they already have maybe a couple of the longer term deals under their belt, all of their information is with you, and they have a reputation or relationship with you, then of course it's going to be a little faster to get through these deals. But in the beginning, then the longer term, 2 to 3 weeks is still really quick.
Yeah.
Loan funded. I love that answer. Thank you, Brenda. What's the one thing that differentiates your company from other investment lenders?
Yeah, I think there are many things. Our rates are very competitive. We're, sometimes the best in the space. People shop around and then they come back to us. We're very flexible on the terms. So we offer personalized financing for each project. So say you want to add a rehab loan, we can do that, just right away. Sometimes you get that approved and it might take a week at, another place, but, we're able to run the numbers really quickly. Our team is extremely responsive. So we're able to get back to people really quickly, and we close really quickly as well. So I think our service and our pricing and the fact that we have the investor mindset, we kind of see how loans would be done if we really want to cater to investors, not making them jump through a bunch of hoops, and then we kind of structure our services that way.
I love that. There are a lot of lenders that really make it hard to get qualified. Once you do get qualified, it seems like they want samples of your DNA. They want commitments for the life of your firstborn child. Everything else about you that they can get to qualify you to become an investor. And those are the things that have been communicated to me and experiences I've had in the past in the beginning of my real estate journey, and then getting into the investment space. And there are so many different ways that investors come up with money, and many of them will try to get a loan wrapped inside a line of credit with another lender partner or someone else who's already an investor. And the banks themselves have really been making it a little tougher to do some of those creative financing type loans. So I find that it's better to just go to the terrific lender source that specializes in investment loans. It's one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on today. I really appreciate that. And now I'm going to throw a surprise question out at you, because I gave you a little list of the questions we go over, and whenever I do these interviews, we try to have that done in advance. But I want to really ask you this: what one or two things could you attribute your success in becoming an investment lender? Is this someone that was a mentor, someone that brought you into the industry, or is it a mantra you have in your life, or a code of ethics that you follow? What really do you attribute your success to in investment lending?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have so many, and the CEO of this company, Keith Mayo, he really taught me everything, and I've been really grateful to him for his mentorship. On my own, I've also done a lot of research on real estate, and Bigger Pockets is a great place to find free resources. They have podcasts, they have a lot of books. One book that really shifted my mindset is called Set for Life by Scott Trench, and it talks about how you can go from nothing or being in debt all the way to financial freedom. So that high level overview of how you should think, what are the key decisions that you can make in terms of your first home, like house hacking, whether you want to buy rental, etc. And also everyone says this, but Rich Dad Poor Dad, also a great book on mindset. On the sales side, I love Grant Cardone, and he's I would just listen to him. He just motivates me like no other. So I would say that, and Tony Robbins, of course. Just having a really great love for life, and reaching for our fullest potential, which is what I think real estate helps us do.
Absolutely. I was just listening to a podcast today, Dropping Bombs with Brad Lee, and found out that financial services is the number one industry in America that creates the most millionaires right away. However, right behind that is real estate, finance, investing. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but Grant just recently joined us at EXP Realty about 3 weeks ago. And he wasn't a licensed realtor at the time, but he became great friends with Glenn Sanford, the owner of EXP Realty, and then had Glenn at his last 10X conference as a featured speaker. So because of the buzz going around with EXP Realty nationwide, and now, around the world, we just added 4 more countries this last week, Germany, Spain, and a couple of others, and we're going into more countries in this next quarter, that Grant Cardone told Elena, his wife, you need to get your real estate license, and we're taking all of our business to EXP Realty. So now he's going to be in leadership and coaching and helping us while he's building an additional real estate career on top of his motivational and coaching career, which is awesome. And now we're going to be hosting Tony Robbins, I believe, in the month of August, to have a big EXP agents mentorship and motivational conference that Tony's going to be at. So I like how we are so well aligned with the same people. We listen to the same people. I started reading Kiyosaki when the first book came out. That tells you how old I am. So it's been a while since Rich Dad Poor Dad came out, and it's incredible. Well, Brenda, I appreciate you so much. If someone's interested in getting a hold of you, the best way for them to reach you is what? Your phone number, your email, your text? What do you want them to reach out to you?
They can reach out to me at Brenda@cvlending.com, or my cell phone 626-353-7098. I think
Awesome.
those 2 ways.
Those 2 ways are best. They can go to cvlending.com, to the website. They can see your pretty picture right up there at the top, right under the CEO and the owners, right? I think you're in that top list of top sales associates there at Conventus at CV Lending. I love y'all's website. Very forward thinking, great company. Multiple agents and people in many different departments there. I mean, you guys just have a heart for helping people. And in the investment space, it's easy to see why y'all are so successful. So I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. And this is, of course, going out live to Facebook World, to multiple pages, and to YouTube as well. And I'm going to post these, your contact information in the comments below the video. I do these videos to help you. Everyone in my market knows me, Patrick Lee of Midweek Motivation Live and the Patrick Lee Group. And we do these to help educate you in the real estate space. If you or anyone you know is interested in buying real estate, selling real estate, or investing, they can reach out to me at www.patricklee.work. That's my digital business card. It will be posted in the comments below this video as well as the contact information for Brenda. Once again, Brenda, thank you so much for being here. Maybe we'll do this again real soon.
Yeah, we'd love to. Thanks, Patrick.
All right. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.